Today we're going to go over an introduction to JavaScript. I'm going to use the PowerPoint that I made, and also we are going to integrate some of the concepts into our task manager that we've been making or building upon every week with some of our key concepts from class. Okay, so I'm just going to get out my PowerPoint. And this is just an introduction to JavaScript. And here, we don't know what this is. Okay, so JavaScript is an interpreted language. It's not like C++ or Java. The difference between a interpreted language like JavaScript or PHP, which are actually scripting languages rather than compiled languages, there's a few differences. One, interpreted languages are run by an interpreter real time. That means they aren't compiled. So what does that mean? That they're a little bit slower than compiled languages like C++ or Java. However, to run them, you could just refresh your browser instead of having to sit there and recompile and restart some sort of runtime environment to get them going. Also, that means it has better flexibility. We can run them pretty much anywhere that has some sort of JavaScript interpreter, which most platforms have. So that's why we're able to build Android, iPhone, BlackBerry, Symbian, Windows mobile apps, all with JavaScript, and just port them over to their respective platform pretty easily, rather than having to develop in C# for Windows, Objective-C for iOS, and Java for Android. Okay, so that's good. The only problem is that it's a little slower. So obviously, if it's compiled, it's a bit faster. You know, there's always a trade-off in anything that you do. Okay, so JavaScript programs are a sequence of statements. So JavaScript, and if any of you have ever programmed before, JavaScript is not object-oriented, which is better for beginners because object-oriented programming takes a bit of time to understand. It has a steeper learning curve. It's much harder. It's also much more to type out. JavaScript is a functional language. That means it's event-driven. It's based purely on functions. It does have an object-oriented component, but we're not going to go over that in the introduction class. But if any of you have any questions, feel free to email me. Okay. So some of the basics. So we are gonna, just like our CSS, we're gonna link our JavaScripts directly into our HTML page. However, instead of linking them, and let me just make it bigger. Instead of me linking my JavaScripts in the head of my page, I'm gonna link them right at the end of the body. So let's actually, we're going to do two things. So take your folder, and we are going to make a new file in Notepad++, save as, and in our JS folder that I said to make last week, save as scripts.js, which is a JavaScript file. And if you go to your CPT JS folder, you should see your scripts.js and your JavaScript file here. Okay, and if you do, we're going to link it at right before the end body tag, like so. Script source. Now our source is just like the href for our style sheet. It's just telling our HTML file where we can find it. So we are going to move to our JavaScript file, and it's scripts.js, okay, and type is just a text / JavaScript file, and that's just telling our browser, hey, we're going to link a JavaScript file, and it is not a self-closing tag, so we have to close it. Okay, so now we linked our JavaScript file. Okay, and the way we could test that is by running it. Okay, so I run it and I inspect element, and if nothing comes up in my console, you will see an error. And by the way, I'm using Google Chrome, and I advise you to as well because it is the best browser. So if I mistype scripts and save and then reload, I'm going to see that Google Chrome is trying to find my script, but I couldn't find it because it doesn't exist because I misspelled it. So Chrome is really good. It has a great developer panel. All you have to do is right click on your browser, inspect element, and you can see all your HTML elements, which is good, so you can see if you didn't close any tags correctly. A console to see if your JavaScripts have run any errors. If you click this little settings tab at the bottom, you can, and then go to overrides, you can emulate position. So you put a specific latitude and longitude if you're doing anything with geolocation. You could simulate any size phone. What else do we need? And we could emulate touch adventures, which obviously I have because I always use this browser. So I emulate touch events because I have all touch enabled functions and scripts, and I could emulate them via Google Chrome on my browser, so I don't have to keep compiling in Eclipse or Xcode for iPhone. So just so you know that Google Chrome is a great tool to use. Okay, so let's relink our JavaScript correctly, and now we could see that everything is okay. Okay. Okay, so at this point we should have our scripts linked to our page. Excuse me, and just give me 1 second. Okay, so as we can see that there are no errors in our Chrome developer panel. Okay, let's see the next. Okay, so in its most basic form, we create a function to perform an action. So what I want to do is, if you don't have it open anymore, please open your JavaScript file. There are 3 parts to our basic function. First, we define a function. So we say, hey, JavaScript, we are going to declare a function, and our script loads our functions into memory at runtime. So that's an interpreter. At runtime, it says, hey, let's run through all the functions. Let's put these in memory so I could, at any time in my program, call them. So I say, hey, it's time to declare a function. So we say, hey, function, you need to declare function or nothing will work, and probably the rest of your scripts in your script file will also not work because that is a syntactical error. Okay, so we say, hey, function, then we declare a function name. So this could be anything you want it to be. However, as I advise people, please make it relevant to what you're doing, or otherwise when you look at it later or someone else looks at it, they're not going to remember, or you're not going to remember what it does. So that's a good way to have it and read it later and say, hey, I remember what this is, because it kind of relates to what I'm doing. So function hello world is our first function. And these are case sensitive, so if I later call hello world with a lowercase w, it won't work because everything is case sensitive. Okay, so that's part 2. And within these parentheses, we're going to go over them later, we could pass parameters, but we will go back to that. So within our curly braces, we can define a function, and to comment, just 2 forward slashes and say, this is our hello world function. And please, I like comments because it's easier for me to see what you guys did. Okay, so function hello world and alert hello world. So what this does, this is a built-in JavaScript function that creates a alert object, which is a pop-out, and it alerts the string, which is in double quotes, hello world. And if you save, obviously it's not attached to anything, so as of right now, nothing will happen. Actually, as a matter of fact, let's go to our view tasks div in our CSS, and let's hide that display none. And let's go back to our main page. Okay, so now we have our login forms. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these two login and sign up buttons, and we are going to attach functions to them. This is an old school way of connecting functions to elements, but we're going to learn a newer way. I just want to demonstrate how functions are called. Like task list, and we're going to go to our button. So we have a div. We can attach functions to divs. This is a handler, so we have on click, on mouse, mouse down, mouse up, touch start, touch end, etc. So we have events we'll go over in a little bit, and we call the name of our function, which is hello world. So on click, hello world. Okay, and when we click it, it alerts hello. Okay, so what we're doing is saying, hey, when you click on me, please perform this function. Perform the function hello world. And it goes and looks in our scripts and says, oh, hey, we have a function hello world. Let's do what it tells us to, which is just an array of commands. So I could have as many commands as I want. I could have alert hello world, console.log, which I will show you, hello world. Which should give us a console message, which is good for debugging, hello world. So I can have as many arguments or as many commands as I want within a function, and I just call it. Okay, so I'm pretty much attaching a on-click handler to my div, and I'm saying anytime I get clicked on, please perform this function. So we could do that with any function. So I could also add here hello world, and make sure you put the parentheses. Okay, and let's give a space. So anytime I click on either one of these divs, it'll just perform the action I tell it to. Okay, but so that's kind of boring. To spice it up, to make to program dynamically, I would say we want to pass parameters. So say I want to log in. I'm able to pass parameters within these parentheses, like I said before. So I'm gonna just pass a string back to my function and say, hey, I want to send you back something, but there's nothing here, so we have to accept a parameter, which is my string. So I'm saying, I'm telling my function that I am able to pass back a string to you. In my index file, my index HTML file, I am actually passing the string I want. So if I want to pass login or sign up, so I could have one function alert different things, I could have a parameter, and then, which is now a variable, and then I could alert my my variable that I'm passing to my function. So I save, and where am I? Oh, and I have to use single quotes. I forgot. I'm sorry about that. And there we go. Sign up. Perfect. Okay, and I'll be able to dynamically give my function a string to alert. Okay, so I'm able to pass parameters through my parentheses. Okay, but we'll go back to that. Obviously, I just want to show you what it does, and we'll definitely go over that a bunch of times before the end of the semester. Okay, so the next thing I want to go over is a variable. So a variable is just a location in memory. I could pass variables from the outside world, which we just did, or I could define them in my function, which I will show you a good example of when I want to have it in my function. There's not that many times because usually I want to get it from the outside world because these are a little bit more static. But to declare a variable, I'd say, hey, var, which is just declaring, hey, this is a variable. And then I declare a variable name, which is any name you give it. So my first variable equals, and then we say equals to define that, okay, I have a location in memory called my first variable, and now I want it to equal to new date, which is the date function for JavaScript, the date object, which will give me the current time and date. And I'm gonna alert my first variable. Okay, so anytime that I use these functions, it will give me the time and date. And I'll show you. Okay, so now you see that it will alert your date and time. So why is this useful? If you can see now, it says 11:25:31, and now I click it again, it's 11:25:40, 11:25:44. Okay, so I don't know what time it's going to be, or I don't know the time at all times. What this does is say, hey, whenever I call this variable, please give me the date, the current date, or current date and time, no matter what it is. I know that I want the current date and time, I just don't know what it is. So I set a location in memory to store the current date and time, and then whenever I need it, it will give me the exact current date and time. Okay? And let's see. Okay, so we're gonna. So what kind of data types can be variables? We have strings. So I showed you how to pass a string in double quotes. We have numbers, integers, floats, and doubles. All could be passed without. So var my num equals 10. Okay, and I can alert my num. Okay. However, if I try to var string equals, and I don't enclose them in double quotations, I'm going to have a syntax error because these aren't numbers. Okay, so as you can see, nothing works, and it says not defined because what is happening here is the JavaScript thinks that DSF is another variable. Okay, so instead I enclose them in double quotes, and now it is a string, and I am able to alert again. Okay, I have objects and arrays, which we'll go back to because those are some a little bit more advanced concepts, but we will be going over those in depth. Okay, so we have libraries. Libraries make my life easier, make your life easier. What they are a set or a humongous set of common functions that we're able to perform pretty low-level JavaScript stuff very easily. Okay, so if we go to jquery.com and then you go to their documentation, they have tons and tons and tons of stuff. And I don't even think they have all the stuff you can do because I haven't seen some of the stuff actually that I use. But you could do literally tons of things, and I'm going to show you how to use jQuery pretty efficiently. And you could do absolutely low-level things and some really cool stuff with jQuery quite easily. Okay, The reason why I use them the most is for their CSS selectors. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to download the compressed version of jQuery. Click on it, Control A, copy, and open a new file. File, save as, and we're going to save it as jQuery. Okay, and it's saved. And I'm actually gonna link jQuery in the head of my document. Okay, so the two difference between linking at the bottom and the top. I link this at the bottom because I want my HTML elements to load before I load these scripts, so I could attach functions after the body's loaded. However, I need jQuery to load first before the body, because there's some document stuff that jQuery does that needs to be loaded before the body loads. Okay, so your jQuery script goes in your head. All other scripts should go before the end of the body, or right before the end of the body. And I just refresh and make sure that my jQuery is correctly linked. Okay, so jQuery has a really cool, I would say, system or way of targeting elements. So instead of me having to write, where did I put it? Instead of me having to write on-click functions right on my divs, which I don't like, and there are highly advised against doing, jQuery has something called CSS Selectors. So we've learned how to target elements via their ID in class and their tag name, which is either div or li or ul. We're able to do the same thing in jQuery. Okay, so jQuery syntax looks something like this. So we have div ID login button. I'm going to copy. So pound login button. So that says, hey, $sign is to initiate a jQuery object. So we say, hey, login button on. Click function. So instead of me having to attach a function directly to my div or my whatever I do, whatever element I have, I'm able to bind any sort of event to my login button, and then I can call another function. Okay, so I could do it that way, and this is easier and obviously a lot less sloppy, a lot neater and more powerful. I'm going to show you how powerful it really is. So it alerts hello without me having to write a script in line. Okay, and let's see. Do these have? So let's give our two divs a class in our LIs. So div class. Okay, I'm sorry. We have two buttons. Our li class buttons. So let's do something with them. So we have buttons. Okay, so what this is, hey, anytime I click an element that has the class of buttons, alert, I have a class of buttons. Okay, and let's comment that out so we don't have multiple alerts. So anytime I click anything with the class of buttons, my event will fire and say, hey, I have a class of buttons, and jQuery binded this event to me. It says anytime that you click any div, so it goes through any element with the class of buttons and attaches this function to it. So you're able to target multiple elements all at once. So what do I do this for? Log in or sign up. I could, and I will show you how to do some of this stuff later. Okay, so right now what I'm telling it is say, hey, anytime I click an element with a class of buttons, alert my any div I have inside of me, alert their text. So I could say, hey, I know I'm alerting login because that's the text of that button's login and sign up. Okay, so that's just some of the stuff you can do. You can do some really cool stuff. The thing is that we want to know which button we're tagging, or we could also, okay, so we could target their ID, and then whatever I want to do for the ID, depending on the ID, hey, I want, you know, this pop out to pop out, or this action to happen. I could kind of separate them via their titles, their IDs, and we're going to go over all this stuff and just giving you a quick overview of why I use jQuery, and it's a very, very powerful tool to use. Okay, so I have onClick handlers, and we're going to go over all of them, which is we have touch start, touch move. So we have touch start. So on, and I think I should. So let me see if it works. Let's go to my console. Override, emulate touch events. But it's not working right now. Okay, so usually I should have a black dot, and that allows. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I have to enable it. Now you'll have a little dot if your override's touch are working, and every time the second I click down on my mouse, because that emulates a touch start event, I will get the alert. Okay, so we have touch start, which is good for obviously mobile. We have our touch move, which is every time I press down and then start moving, I should get an event. Okay, I guess, which does not work on Chrome, but it should. Yeah. Oh, I didn't save. Okay, but we have touch move, which definitely works on phones, and touch end, which is the second that I let my mouse up. Okay. And let's see something right here. Okay, so we have on touch end, touch move, and so forth. Let me just see something. Oh, that's why. Okay, so I had a syntax error, so nothing worked. Okay, so I have touch end, and let's get back our panel. Okay, so we have all those different types of. Okay, so okay, so we have some other actions. We have keep down, which is obviously definitely easier to show you on an actual phone, but just something where we have a input box, and the second you press down on your Android or iPhone keypad, an event happens. Oops, and same thing with key press. After you have a full key press, an event will happen. Key up, as soon as you key up on a key, and focus is when you focus or highlight a input or a text area, which we'll go over. I just want to go over some of the possible events, and there's a ton. So I want you to just go over some of this stuff, and there's some links to some really good stuff. Some of the functions. jQuery has some cool stuff, so let's go through it real quick. We'll go through just a couple things. So we have jQuery add class, so you could dynamically add a CSS class to your elements, which is good. So we want to change the color, the font, the size, etc. This is CSS, so we could apply, directly apply some CSS rules. We could check if a element has a class. This is good for holding some sort of information. We'll go over all this stuff. We get its height. We have its offset, so we can see how far it is from the top or left of the page. We have its actual, you get it. Okay, we get a position, so that's its coordinates, so we don't have to get its height and width separate. And apologize, I think they just updated some of the stuff, which is cool. So okay, so and there's a bunch of different things. So we have we could, let's see what else that I want to go over. Okay, so this is to help us insert dynamic elements, okay, into our HTML pretty easily. So let's see what else we have. We have events, so let's go back on events, and if you look at the events link, it just gives you definitions of everything we have. We have blur, change, focus, select, submit. This is actually just for forms, so this is just for inputs and text areas, which is good. So we're going to do a lot of stuff like that. In the next class, we're going to start using jQuery to attach events to things. Okay? So in the next class, we're going to go into jQuery in depth, and I just wanted to go over what JavaScript was. Okay, so thank you and have a great day.